Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. This is Thorim hard mode, and the first phase going through the hallway kind of reminds me of Razor Scale. I do some damage to the first couple things of ads, but then I try to stop my DPS so that my ICDs will be available when we engage the boss after the end of the hallway. Usually after I down this big runic colossus, I'll stop doing damage for the last like 2 packs that are in the next room and wait until I get to the boss. I also don't want to be burning all of my mana. This is a nice way to get a little bit of mana regen by not doing too much to the last couple packs. For this last hallway, I like to use my dash so that I have nitro boost available during the fight if I need to use those to get out of one of the electricity things. And one thing you can do right here is you want to make sure you're up at the front of the pack, and all of your dots and stuff that you're putting on while the boss is still up on the ledge, they count after the boss activates, but the fight doesn't really start until he lands in the middle of the room. So you can get your Insect Swarm, your Moonfire, your Fairy Fire, all those out of the way. Also your Treants, but don't really like pop Starfall early while it's up there, because you might lose like your first or second star while he's in the air coming down. Big thing on this is there's a lot of movement that could happen, so the less you move, the better your parse. This is where the tier 8 4-piece can come in handy, is if you're like right on the line of 2 of the cones where the electric thing can come across the map, then you could use your Starfire proc to move to the proper place so you can avoid that electricity. I haven't really gotten hit by that. I'm not sure if that could proc Alkin Frenzy. I've taken on a decent amount of Blizzard damage, and I haven't seen Blizzard proc Alkin Frenzy. The Frostbolt Volley, it can. And since we're still kind of going through the progression phase, trying to just get through this boss and get onto other hard modes, we're not just eating the Blizzard damage right now. We are moving out, but hopefully eventually we can just stand in the Blizzard and not have to worry about moving for one extra thing. Yeah, other than keeping mana through the hallway and getting your dots rolling before the boss comes down, not much to help your parse, but there is one way that a raid member can help you get some extra damage. And I'll explain that while we look at their rank 1 parse. So looking at the replay for the rank 1, if I just scroll through, you can see they didn't really have to move that much. They moved like to the side once, and then they kind of just stood in the same spot for the rest of the fight. Just showing how much having that uptime by being able to stand still really helps. And if I look at their buffs, we can see that they had 98.39% uptime on Aura of Celerity, which this buff increases nearby allies' melee, ranged, and casting speed by 20%. And the way they get this buff is by having a priest mind control one of the ads from phase 1, and it gives this buff to the raid. So if you don't have a priest mind controlling giving you that buff, you could still maybe parse 95-ish, but it's going to be really hard to get a 99 without getting that haste buff. And looking at their gear really quickly, they've got 400 haste, so pretty much the soft cap for haste. They popped their first hyperspeed 5 seconds in. They got the bloodlust 4 seconds in, and they've got nature's grace procced all at the start of the fight. If we look at their starfires, they also used a potion of speed, and they were getting pretty much a 1 second starfire for their whole first lunar phase. Even later on into the fight, when they didn't have all of those buffs, they were still getting a 1.7 second starfire cast, which is pretty big. I don't have nearly as much haste, but outside of all those procs and everything, I have about a 2 second starfire cast. So hopefully they were thinking their priest noob skilled for their 2 mind controls for the fight, doing 0 damage but helping their raid out. And yeah, we haven't had a priest mind control that mob for us yet, but let me know if you have and if you could tell a big difference in that 20% haste that you're getting. One last thing to point out is they still followed their eclipse with all of that haste buff going on in their lust. So when they proc their solar, they switched to Wrathcast, and they were getting 0.6 second Wrathcast, which makes me wonder, is it worth it to just spam Starfire if you have like the haste soft cap, the mind controlled priest buff, even when your hyperspeed and potion of speed falls off? That could be something that we see some people try out. I'm nowhere near that haste soft cap, so if you want to try that out and let me know how it goes, please do. And their DPS for that fight was 9400 DPS with a fight length of 248. They also used Pandora's Plea on this. This is the first time I've seen a parse with Pandora's Plea. Got this on my radar. I might pick it up and use it for like Vezex or something. Interesting to see this trinket up there in a rank 1 parse. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next boss in Old War.